Hello, fourth grade. I thought we would continue on our kind of theme of optical illusions, but kind of learn about a new technique or idea, which is known as one-point perspective. If you're wondering what one-point perspective is, this is an example. So it looks like something's all exploding out of one point. And once you start to learn these kind of techniques, you really are able to start to make your things look three-dimensional and look like they're popping out of the page, just like you did with your wavy kind of curved lines from the last couple weeks. So I'm going to show you today how to do one-point perspective, and it's pretty easy. It's easier than you think. You are going to need your ruler and probably a pencil to get started, and maybe a piece of paper outside of your sketchbook, because it'll be easier to do it on paper that's not, attached to a page. I have a little instruction sheet that will help you double check, and I'll have the video obviously to help you get started. But let's go check it out. All right, so I got my ruler. I'm gonna use a Sharpie just to make it easier for you guys to see what I'm doing as I'm making my one-point perspective shape explosion, just like in the example. So what I'm gonna do is, to start this off, I'm gonna think of the shape I'm gonna use. I'm gonna go stick with something simple like a square, but you could do this with organic shapes, like just like a blob could even turn into an exploding shape of, a bunch of blobs exploding. So I'm gonna make a dot right where I want everything to be exploding out from. And then surrounding that dot, I would say pick, 5, no more than 10 shapes. So I'm going to start drawing some squares. They could be crooked squares, they could be So I have a variety of squares that are kind of circling around my center dot. Now I'm going to start seeing what edges of my squares can go directly back to this center, creating that look that these shapes are exploding out from the middle. So I'll just start with this one. So I line up this edge with my dot, and I draw my first line. Now I could go to the other edge and draw another line. But look at this edge is going to be blocked by the main part of the square, so I don't need to draw that. This one is going to be blocked too, so I'm going to skip drawing these edges. I don't need to draw lines that go back to the center from those. I could go from this one. This has got a nice edge. This has got a nice edge. And I could even get a little hair of this corner, but I'm not going to be able to see this corner because it's blocked by the middle of this square. So I'm going to get just that little sliver, but it'll start to really make it look 3D when I do that. So I've done that. I'm going to go to this corner. And you guys should definitely be doing this in pencil, because if you make a mistake, it's no big deal then. You can just fix it right away with a pencil. So you're starting to see, I can't get this corner, it's being blocked by the main part of my shape, but I can get 3 of the corners to give it that 3D look that's exploding out from the center. So already this is looking 3D, like we are seeing some squares exploding out from the page. I got 3 corners on this one. And again, pencil will be your friend when you're doing this for the first time. So will your ruler. If you don't use a ruler, these are going to look all discombobulated and wiggly. So definitely use your ruler, hold it with one hand, line up the corner, and draw those lines. And it probably would be easier for me to use a pencil, but I'd be worried you wouldn't be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm lining up this corner, line up this corner. And now I can't really get any of the other corners because they're being blocked. So this one is only going to have one side, just like the one on the opposite. This one. A little sliver right there is going to make it look really awesome. And my final square that I got. So how about for this week, just worry about getting your shape explosion to this point. You don't got to color it. You don't got to shade it like I did for this one just yet. I'll explain that next week. But just try to get your shapes to explode from one point. Every line leads back to the center right there. So, good luck. All right, good luck with your 1 point perspective this week. Remember, it all is gonna just lead right back to that center dot that you very first started with. Don't worry about coloring it this week. We'll talk about that for our next week. And check out the little instruction sheet on our 4th grade art page, or send me a question or something like that. Have a great rest of your week. So long.